formatting things that we had talked about. So I was like, your font needs to be this size.
A little bit of guidance, a little something. Yeah, or
Hey guys,
Melissa, you're now muted, so you got to unmute yourself.
okay. Perfect. We're going to wait one more minute because there's a lot of people still trying to log on and I don't want to deal with the muting situation. So we're going to start at 3:32. All right. I think everyone can see that this meeting is being recorded, just in case there are people who couldn't make it today. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for hopping on. There's a lot of you here today. I know we have some sort of hot topics to get to, but before we get to those, we have a couple of guests that we're going to let go first so they can leave and they don't have to stay and hang out with us. So first up, right out of the chute, we have Pam Salazar from the RPDPs. The reason that I asked Pam to come talk to you guys is I've had a couple school leaders reach out to me about the new required read by grade science of reading training requirements. And the RPDPs are doing a lot of work around this. And then the other thing that they've been talking about quite a bit with the superintendents is that I thought would be of interest to this group is they've got some trainings that have been wildly popular with traditional school leaders around using AI to like improve your evaluation process, and these classes keeps getting booked up and they schedule more and more of them. So I have asked Pam Salazar to just talk to those couple of things. And there's like so many people here. Pam, if you're here, I'm sorry. You can just go ahead and unmute. Let's see, is she here yet? Let's see here. If I see her name, I don't see her name. Okay, I'm going to come back to her. We'll give her just a minute to hop on. The other guest that I should have today is UNLV School of Education. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here,
Okay,
Melissa.
perfect.
Thank
You
you.
get to go first. And you
Oh
can
boy,
you
lucky
can turn
me.
your let me give a brief introduction really quickly.
Okay.
I'm really, really excited to have UNLV here today. They are really committed to making sure that their practicum students and their student teachers and then their students who are graduating and ready to apply for jobs are aware of charter schools, get in front of charter schools. They have a survey that went out today in the Wednesday email. Please, 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 we know that getting good teachers is like everybody's goal. So be sure and fill that survey out so that then UNLV can connect with you on where it's appropriate. And then also equally as important that as that survey that is in the Wednesday email this week is this coming week on the 18th. They are doing an in-person event in Clark County for
We're actually going to be the 17th. I'm so
17th.
sorry. I didn't
Sorry,
want to
thank you.
interrupt, but I had to.
Yep.
I had
Nope.
to there.
John,
Sorry.
thank you. I'm glad you did. On the 17th, for in person with recent or soon to be UNLV grads. This is a really important timeline to get in front of these students because this is the week that they can start applying in Clark County School District. And so we want them to just at least get an understanding of your process. So I'm going to turn it over to John. He's just going to take, again, 3 to 5 minutes and sort of talk to you a little bit about his goals. And I'll turn it over to him. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you everybody for just giving me this brief moment with you. Thank you to the 5 school leaders so far that have filled out that networking survey for me, and one more that I had the pleasure of emailing earlier today. My name is John. I was a teacher and teacher leader in New York City public schools for 11 years. I just left the classroom a couple months ago to join the UNLV, College of Ed, as the workforce engagement coordinator. It's really important to me to get these students to understand that working with you in a charter school is a viable option. Like Melissa said, it's hiring season right now at CCSD. However, news came out about their surplusing, and students want to know what their options are. I want you to be able to meet them here on campus, to be able to meet them at your buildings as often as much as possible. So I want to create those learning opportunities for them. I want to create networking opportunities for them to meet with you in that capacity. We do have that event on the 17th coming up to just kind of get started in that realm, be able to have a few of you in the building, in a classroom, meeting face to face with some of, hopefully, future prospective teachers of yours, so that they can ask you questions, you can ask them questions, they can learn what it's like to work in your school or in a charter school, how it might be different from their experience at CCSD, what the application process is like, and kind of treat it as a very first impression. And then we will eventually turn that into an opportunity to practice interviewing skills, demo lesson skills, planning demo lessons, etc. So again, just please fill out the form if you're interested in these types of opportunities. I have a couple of schools at CCSD that indicated to me that like they want to become a teacher development lab of sorts, and there's no reason why that can't be one of your schools as well. And so I'm just here to help make that connection and be a part of that process. So thank you so much.
So the form, you guys, is more kind of future looking. If
Yes.
you are somebody who would be able to attend on the 17th in the evening in Clark County, please email John. John, will you put your email in the chat?
I sure will in just one
Email
sec.
John, and then if there's like a huge list, I'll help him sort of narrow it down to get like big schools, little schools, CMOs, EMOs, independents. Like we'll try to get a good cross section going. But if you are interested and you can make the 17th work, please please email John, and then he will reach out to you with the specifics. And again, I really can't thank UNLV enough for initiating this. We often kind of are a second thought in people's mind, and I really, really appreciate it. Marina and I had a great conversation with John earlier. I don't even know if it was this week or last week, but it was a great conversation, and really appreciate him working with us. And Marina and I are committed to helping you guys get your hands on the best teachers out there. So thank you, John, for being
Thank
here.
you.
And
Absolutely.
we
Would it
look
be
forward to
helpful
this
if I throw the
partnership.
link in the chat one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. Put
Yeah.
everything and anything
And
in that chat.
thank you. And there was a question, like if we already have a relationship with UNLV, should we fill out the form? Please do, just so that I know who you are. I'm brand new to Nevada. I'm brand new to UNLV, so I don't know anybody. This is just it's an opportunity for me to get to know you and see where we can continue to work together.
Perfect. Thanks, you guys. Okay.
Right.
Thank you, John, for being here. All right. I see that Pam Salazar is here.
Yep.
Pam, I did a little intro before you got here
Yep.
that I was asking, in particular, I've had several charter schools reach out about the science of reading required training, as well as I think, the thing that really piqued my interest was the AI things that you're doing for school leaders that are like helping them with their teacher evals and stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to you to sort of talk about what you guys have going on and tell schools how they should reach out if they are interested. And again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
You bet. All right. Well, hello, everyone. It's great to see you. And I see many names on there of people that I have worked with over the years. So it's great to see you. And as Melissa said, what we've been working on with school leaders is how we can access AI as a digital tool, a digital assistant. And we've really been focusing on 3 big areas. The first area is teacher growth, evaluation, observations, how we can leverage AI to make that whole process more meaningful for teachers, but at the same time be efficient use of your time so that you can indeed have the kind of conversations that you want to have. So one big focus, teacher growth, observations, conferencing, etc. Another big area that we've been looking at with AI in this same session, and we've got a session coming up February 26th. So would love to invite you to participate. And in that session, not only are we going to look at teacher growth, but we're going to look at using data. You know, how can you analyze some of the larger data sets that you have in ways that leads to discussion for school improvement? Thirdly, taking a look at how you can leverage AI in your PLCs with your teacher collaboration. And so in these sessions, it's an hour-and-a-half workshop, virtual. Not only do we walk through kind of what the process is, but more importantly, we will look at number of prompts that you might use in that work. We also share with you a number of tools. We have found that AWSA out of Washington State has just done a fabulous job of pulling together various prompts that make school leaders work much easier. So that session is available. We also have a couple of repeating that we started in the fall. So check out rpdp.net, then go to the registration and you'll see a calendar of all of the workshops that we're doing, and specifically workshops for administrators on using AI and workshops for teachers. So some of your teacher leaders also on using AI in the classroom, lesson planning, etc. And then the only other thing that I wanted to mention, Melissa, is that RPDPs have partnered with Lion, the Leadership Network for Nevada, and we have another workshop that is scheduled for February 19th, and this is at the new South CTA. It's at 2:00 in the afternoon, and the title of it is Leading for the Future, Leveraging AI for Literacy Success. So we're going to look at both big pieces, knowing all of the science of reading requirements that are coming up and the importance of marrying, if you will, literacy with science of reading. We are bringing in some outside speakers to do this workshop on. So then how can we leverage AI to help us improve literacy and especially improving reading? So I think it's going to be a great event. Again, it's listed up on the rpdp.net website. It is for school leaders and teacher leaders. And again, it is February 19th, 2:00 to 4:30 in the afternoon. And all you have to do is hit the rpdp.net link and everything is there for the schedule.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. I have one question. Just remind me. I know you guys are working on science of reading stuff, but it's not out yet. Is that right?
That
like,
is.
Can you just, I know people
Sure,
are starting
you
to panic. And so when do you like anticipate rolling those out so that they can keep an eye on it?
Right. So the literacy experts with RPDP, our content trainers, are in the process of developing Canvas courses that meet the new requirements for the science of reading work, and anticipating these to be ready for sure by the summer, and then moving forward, continuing to offer whatever it is that we need to have in place in order to help teachers meet that requirement. As well as school leaders. Administrators are also, there'll be a course separately for science of reading that also administrators will be taking.
Perfect. So I think the message here, everyone, is if you're not hitting up rpdp.net on a semi-regular basis, you're missing out on some good stuff. And you're missing out on, I mean, that science of, I mean, some of you have reached out to me in a panic because you've put your teachers through letters training and you know how expensive it is. And you're thinking like that's the only option out there. And so this is going to be a really great option that is, you know, way more affordable. And so please keep an eye on that science of reading. And again, I really appreciate you coming. I know how busy you are. But I keep hearing her talk about this stuff at the superintendent's meeting. And I feel like a lot of you, these are the kind of things you're asking about. So hopefully we made a good connection today. And if you guys do take advantage of any of these, please share the good news and, you know, pass the word on about how great these are. So, and thank you for being here. I'll let you log off.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. And I do want to say thank you for forwarding out the brief on a regular basis because we do see many of your principals in our workshops. So they're getting that information and we appreciate it.
Yeah, those of you who aren't I think it's every week.
Every week. Yep.
Yeah, every week they send out a brief and we include it in our Wednesday email, and there's a lot of great information there. So, you know, yay for RPDP.
Thanks, Melissa. Take care.
Yeah,
Bye.
take care. All right, now I know there's a lot of topics that you guys are all hopped on here. That's why we have such a good turnout. So I'm going to start with just a very basic update and let everybody know that the transportation grant application is going to open on Monday the 9th. There's going to be a technical assistance session on Thursday the 12th at 11:30. There's more information is in the grant unit newsletter. Hopefully you saw that. And it'll come out again tomorrow on the 5th. The applications for fiscal year 27 for federal entitlement grants, they are scheduled to open on February 16th. Again, you know, we are kind of married to NDE for a lot of our timelines, as you all know, but that's our goal, is the 16th. These are preliminary allocations. Remember, we're just now getting our true allocations for fiscal year 26. So these are preliminary allocations. They will be trued up next year, hopefully more timely than they were this year. And just want to flag that for you. So I'll cover grants, and then I'm going to jump into two topics that I know why everybody is here. The first one is the PERS update. So first and foremost, some of you know that when you did your PERS raise for AB 398, we said that you could pay those all in like one check or in two checks or in three checks. We didn't care how you paid them. And while that is still true, on the PERS side, it has caused a bit of a complication. And so I know no one is going to like the news that I'm about to give you, but nonetheless, this is where we're at with PERS. They have a statute that essentially does not allow PERS on like a one-time payment like this. And so they don't care that you paid all at once, but you have to submit your PERS paperwork every single month. So I'm just going to use $1,000 because it's easy. So let's say that, you know, Carrie Sarabia is getting, she's an education support professional. She's getting $1,000 raise. I gave it to her all at once on our January 15th payment, but there are 10 payroll periods left in this year. On my PERS report, I'm going to report out $100 for her every single month. Now, I can almost guarantee you that people have questions about this, and I can also almost guarantee you that I can't answer them. But I do want to take them down and take them back to PERS to get the correct answer to you. So I'm going where there's a lot of you on here. So we're definitely going to have to utilize the raising the hand feature. It's up on the toolbar on the top. It's the third one in from the left-hand side. If you have a specific question about PERS and how this works, please raise your hand and I will do my best to answer. And if I can't answer, we'll take it back to PERS. Okay, great. Maybe that's not as complicated as I think it is. Or maybe I'm just not. Let me just scroll down. Okay. I will also say this. If you have questions about this, they want them to be directed to Cheryl. Katie, what is Cheryl's last name at PERS?
Lacombe, but she spells her name.
Will you put her email in the chat?
Yeah.
Yep. They want all questions related to this matter to come through Cheryl, and she will send them out to the right people that need to get them. Ashley?
Yeah, so like if we paid ours out in December, and our PERS stuff, do we, from this point forward, we calculate how many payrolls we have left? Or
Yeah, okay, so Ashley, this is where it gets complicated. If you did an addendum to your contract that said, Carrie, you're getting $1,000 from this day on, then you do it from the day you paid forward. If you didn't do that, you're going to have to go back and spread it out over the entire year. So like previous PERS reports. So if I were you,
So-
I'd figure out a way to get that addendum done so I didn't have to do that. But that's, your call to make how you want to deal with it. But it's from the time of the payment.
Okay.
Melissa, there's a question in the chat that if an employee leaves after getting full payment or partial, how can we pay PERS over months later?
Okay, that's a great question. It's in the chat, so I don't need to write it down. I have no idea, and I will find out. Nandini.
So if we already made the payment, say in December, but then now we're spreading it out for the rest of the year, is that going to cause a concern when we're reconciling the actual payroll report to the PERS contribution? Because there won't be an additional $100 in that payroll.
That is we will ask that question, but you need to specifically reach out to Cheryl with that and explain, explain like your exact scenario to her. But include me on the email so I see the answers. That way, if people have similar questions, I get the same information.
Okay, and I have one more question. What if we had submitted a budget for AB 398 in October, and now that staff member has left the school, what can we do with those remaining funds?
Yeah. So, okay. I'm assuming maybe you replaced that person. So you don't have to pay the exact people on that list, right? If your kindergarten teacher left and, Miss Smith left and now Miss Terry's here, well, by all means, you can give it to Terry, right?
Okay.
And the amount can even be slightly different, as long as you're using the same design methodology that you talked about. We understand that there's going to be minor changes. Just don't go over the amount that you were awarded, or you're going to be on the hook for it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then Yolanda asked a question in the chat. What if PERS has already been paid in full on the amount when the employee was paid?
Most people have gotten that rejected, Yolanda. Like if you are you telling me that you paid in one lump payment, paid PERS on it, and PERS didn't reject it?
Hi, Melissa. We paid half. So we opted for the half in December, half in May. And so for what we paid in December, the PERS contribution was paid. I haven't gotten word. I can double check with my finance team that it was rejected.
Yeah, just double check that didn't get bounced back, and that's a good like test case for me to take back to them to say,
Okay.
and maybe the difference is you were doing it in more than one payment,
This is Melissa. This is Michelle from CSMC, and Yolanda's. She's going to ask me. So I think part of it is that December. So it was paid, but they're a month behind. So the PERS reports for December are what I believe they get reported. They might not be rejected because they might not be reported. I don't do the retirement, but they're a month behind. So in December, it's going to be you're not doing the report until like what? Third week in January, so there might not be a rejection yet.
Okay.
But we'll keep an eye.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thanks. Okay. And obviously, depending on how this all shakes out, we will probably very much change our guidance to you next year to avoid this. And I just want to let you know that our goal with AB $398 for next year is to get them dialed in before the school year starts. So, getting them approved at say like the June IFC is our goal. So, keep an eye, we'll obviously let you know, but just expect that that's going to happen much earlier than it did this year. All right. Now, last but not least, which I think is probably the reason why so many of you are here, about 72% of our schools got an email that I think has caused widespread panic, and I would like to apologize for that. That was not our intent. So I'm going to start all the way at the top. Well, I'm going to start by telling you do not panic. There's absolutely nothing to panic about at this point in time. What happened was the funding commission got tasked, one of their many list of things that they are responsible for doing is determining whether charter schools ending fund balances should be swept when they go above 16.6% like districts do. So they are investigating that, and obviously we are helping them. Now, what I can tell you is that the subcommittee of the funding commission that is looking at this very much is of the opinion that no, these are unique situations. They don't have facilities funding. They're saving this money so that they can buy a facility, or if they own a facility, so that they can take care of ongoing maintenance and capital expenses associated with owning the building. Right? That subcommittee very much understands that. And Katie and I will be going in a couple of weeks to present further information and give them more information about why we really believe that their recommendation should be that they should leave charter schools alone, and that they should not be treated the same way as school districts do. And we feel fairly confident that in the end, the entire funding commission will, agree to that. If for some reason they don't, we will obviously notify you immediately about what they are recommending. Now, having said that, if you've been following the funding commission at all, I think this is their third session that they've existed in. They've been going for about, 6 years maybe. Legislatures, frankly, I think has taken one of their recommendations in the entire time they've existed. Like, they tend to give them a lot of work to do and then don't take any of their recommendations. So we want to be prepared just in case, even if the funding commission comes in and says, hey, we think you should leave well enough alone. It doesn't mean that the legislature is going to listen, right? So we want to be prepared. But here is what you have my word on. If this is something that somebody took up as a BDR about this would be a 5-alarm fire. You would be hearing from us. You would hopefully be hearing, you're a member of CSAN, you would be hearing from them. You would be hearing from Opportunity 180. This would be an all hands on deck situation. So please do not think that something like this is going to happen and you're not going to know about it, right? That is not what is going to happen. There would have to be a bill about this. We would have information in advance. We hope that never comes to fruition. We hope that we can cut this thing off right here and now at the funding commission level, and then it doesn't go any further. But the reason we're gathering, information from every school, we reached out to every school that was 20% or more based on their audited fiscal year 25 audited financials, is because we are trying to put together a compelling story to show that there are unique circumstances at all of these schools, and so therefore it would be really hard to apply a single set of rules around this that would make sense, right? And so you providing us that information is going to allow us to choose a variety of schools and sort of tell your story on your behalf. And why are you saving these money? Why are you saving this money? Where did you, some schools have reached out to me and said, we've been fundraising this money for 12 years. It's all fundraising dollars. That's important. And that's on the form, philanthropy fundraising, right? That's where this money came from. So we want to be able to just show that there are very unique circumstances going on, and we need to just leave well enough alone. So I'm very sorry that I caused panic in that email. That was not my intent. I should have probably calmed the waters in the email more than I did. But with that, I will just pause and see. And if you didn't get the email, then it's because you were under 20% in your fiscal year 25 budget of funds. But it's still good for you to know that this is like out there as like a policy discussion that's happening in the broader sector. Because hopefully someday it will apply to you. So with that, I will pause and see if there are any questions. And again, use the raising the hand feature if you don't mind.
We did get one more PERS question.
Okay.
I have a feeling this is going to need to go to Cheryl, but the question is, what if we paid 1/3 of the raise in a lump sum on January 15th? Do we still spread out over 10 pay periods, even though the raise was given one payment at a time and not spread out? Do we need to include the anticipated second and third batches to be paid in April and May in the same 10 period spread as an estimate? Or do we spread the January payment over 10 pay periods, the April payment over 6 pay periods, and the May payment over 4 pay periods?
So who was that? Steve, can you put that in an email to PERS and include me on it so I make sure and see the answer?
Yes, I can do that.
That's definitely a PERS question.
Yep. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I see that Michelle asked, is there a formula? It's not a formula. We went directly to your school's audited financials, to their fund balance, and that's what we used. It's not formula. I mean, we looked at your overall spending, but there's not really a formula, so to speak. It's all
We did
pulled
do
everything.
we did two calculations. So we took the ending fund balance, the total ending fund balance, so we combined restricted and unrestricted. And we did the ending fund balance as a percentage of total expenditures for FY 2025. That's what the PC, or that's what school districts use for that 16.6%. But then we also took your total FY 2025 PCFP allocation from the 387 report. And we ran your ending fund balance as a percentage of that. So any school that was flagged at 20% or more, with an ending fund balance of 20% or more of either of those things, we sent you the survey.
And the reason we did it with both ways is because they sort of like talked about doing it doing it a different way for chart, like should the same exact rules apply or should these other rules apply? So that's why we ran it in both scenarios like that. Ashley?
So would there be like a way that we could transfer them to a separate account that's not the general budget?
So this is what I'll tell you, Ashley. If this like gets further down the road, like if we're playing the like what if game, we would be this rule was in effect, but they weren't like following it for districts. And so several years ago, they were like, okay, we're going to start following this. And the districts, kind of panicked like what you guys experienced. And what they did was they grandfathered districts in at the level they were at. And so we would be arguing for those sorts of things. We would also be like right now, they don't sweep districts taxes that are for or like their bond, like for their capital projects. So like in Washoe County, their WC1 there are some protected classes of money. So we would also be arguing that they should be able to, that charter schools should be able to move money, their boards, into a restricted account, right? Like that's what we used to do. We would move money into a restricted account that could only be used for facilities and capital expenses. So we would be making if this goes down that road, we would be making some arguments for some carve outs like that. And also you would have plenty of notice. So at the very least, you could, worst case scenario, spend the money, right? But I think again, they gave the district, they grandfathered the districts in, they gave them multiple years to even start doing that. And so I think they would, that's what we would be pushing for, is like equitable treatment in that regard, and equitable treatment in that funds that are specific for facilities or capital expenses aren't part of the overall sweep. And then schools who aren't, and there are plenty of schools that aren't doing that, where they just have a bunch of unrestricted money. We would work with you on getting those things, work with you on how to properly agendize and get that money moved into restricted accounts for whatever it is you're saving it for, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah, I think because we just have like previous obligations with like our USDA loan. So they gave
so?
us 2 years of interest only, but now we have to start paying all of it. But there's also a stipulation that we must continue to build our financial reserves year over year. So
And that is actually, you're actually one of the schools I want to use as an example, because you've bought a building recently, right? So I need you to put all of that in that form so that we can, like, that's the perfect, like a lot of schools that have used bonds to buy their buildings, they have to have so much money, and like it's part of their bond covenant. So like there's all of these scenarios out there that exist, and that's what we're trying to identify, like each school's kind of unique circumstances, so we can highlight that there's a lot of different things going on here. And you can't just make some kind of blanket rule that's going to make any sense here.
okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. But that's like a perfect example, right? Like they have to keep money in there, like they're required to, and they required to be building that, right? We're also really going to point out to them that best practice nationwide is that charter schools have 60 days cash on hand. For some of our schools, 60 days cash on hand is more than 16%, right? So like these are all things that like we've got to educate people on now in the interim, so that hopefully this doesn't become an issue during the session. Okay, anything else? All right, you guys. Well, that definitely took longer than normal. Oh, Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
Hi, Melissa. This is to piggyback off of a previous question that was asked regarding the raises. We had a teacher leave before we can give her the raise, and the school does not plan to hire someone in that place. What do we do with the extra money if it hasn't gone anywhere?
You would just not spend it. I mean,
Okay.
There's a
Just keep it in
world where you
reserve,
could take that
restricted.
$3,000 and redistribute it, but like that's that's your call. If you want to go to that work and do all the additional addendums for your teachers to get another $100, like that's 100%. You could redistribute it, or you could just be like, hey, it's like any grant. We're gonna hope to spend most of it, but at the end of the day, there's gonna be a couple $1,000s left on the table that we didn't spend for whatever reason, right?
Okay. Is it a possibility for that carrying over to next year?
No,
To
I
use as
know.
raise?
The way I know it's such a bummer. The way the statute was written, no, it's like a set amount for this year and next year.
Okay, so just save it and we'll have to pay the state back essentially, but or do
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
essentially
I
what's gonna
actually,
happen at
yes,
the end of the
you're
year?
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Well,
I will
thank
just
you.
add one
Yeah.
thing. If you are wondering like how we identified your school, or you want the specific calculations and where we got them from your audit, just email me and I can get you the exact figures and where they came from, so that you can kind of see it and understand the numbers that we're looking at.
Yeah, we've provided those to a few people already, so happy to do that. All right, you guys. Well, thank you. Have a great February and reach out to us if you need anything. Have a good night.